Okay, so who wants to play? Who wants to play the spectrum sheet epistemology?
I was nervous.
You came here to play?
Yep.
Okay, get on the mats. Neutral. You start on neutral. Whoever wants to play, you just start on neutral.
And I was warned.
You have to start on neutral. Just stand on neutral. And then you cannot straddle the mats. You've got to be on one or the other. So the claim is residential school denialism. Residential school denialism is a barrier to reconciliation. What mat would you stand on?
It's exactly related. It's all
What's that?
Yeah, I slightly agree.
If you don't know that you can see on neutral.
Slightly agree.
Yeah. Okay, so, sorry, what's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan. Nice to meet you, Jordan.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. You hang in there.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, why are you on the slightly agree mat?
Well, I know that there's been like issues in the past and like unresolved issues and like that happened in the past and like they can't all be resolved and like
I'm just going to get my speakers going here.
take time and like we don't have like
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Where is Daniel? Okay, so you're on the slightly, the claim is residential school denialism is a barrier to reconciliation. And the reason why I've chosen this claim is because this is what was being claimed today in a National Center for Truth and Reconciliation event. So I was just interested in hearing different opinions on this perspective. So you're on the slightly agree mat, Jordan.
yeah.
And if you could just explain why you're on the slightly agree mat.
Well, I slightly agree because like there's stuff that's been like happened in the past and like to their ancestors and like stories that have been told about the residential schools. Like we're not denying it that it happened. We're in agreement there. The problem is though the violent aspect and like the not being,
The abuse? Like
yeah,
the abuse?
like the abuse that were put towards you and like other people and
This is about residential, the claim is residential school
yeah,
denialism.
the abuse.
So what's your
like
definition?
That happened like to the
What's your definition of residential school denialism?
it's basically like we don't like the abuse like happened and like my views on the denialism is like I don't deny that it happened and
But what do you think is being denied in residential school denialism?
coming together and like the community and probably like
Would you like to come and play the spectrum sheet epistemology? No? I'm going to do it though. Oh, you want to come? So
I didn't know say I was coming. I'm just watching.
you're watching? Okay, so I'm gonna do. So the claim is. Did you want to play? Did you want to play?
Okay.
So just go in the neutral spot. Residential school denialism, that's the claim, is a barrier to reconciliation. So what mat would you stand on in response to that claim?
I would say I agree.
Okay. And why are you on the agree mat?
The word denial, that's a strong word.
Louder, I can't hear you.
And the word denial is a strong word. And to deny residential schools is a very strong statement, okay? And it's fraught with high emotions because people know people who've been in residential schools and what they claim happened to them. Some people claim it was abusive, some people claim it was not abusive. But we want to acknowledge abuse happened in residential schools. So the argument is residential school denialism is a barrier to reconciliation. Yes, I'd have to agree, because to deny something abusive happened is not going to reconcile us as a nation. We have to acknowledge it, and we have to make reparations if we can.
Okay, so from what I understand, your definition of residential school denialism is denying that abuse happened in residential schools.
That's bull.
No, I don't mean that I'm...
I was waking up every night by probably a priest, a teacher, to take me.
Like, I'm just wondering how you define residential school denialism.
Okay, so maybe I've got the term wrong.
Okay,
A playroom.
Okay, so-
They said it was a playroom.
Residential school denialism, to me, and maybe I've got a blind spot, is saying that
You know what? I used to
abuse
be the
never
best.
happened,
I
and
used
people
to
are
be the
denying
best.
that.
okay. So, and obviously, if you deny that abuse happened in the residential schools, that's going to be a barrier to reconciliation, because it's like denying something terrible that happened. Like, it's like any person who's gone through a terrible traumatic experience and people don't recognize that, it's going to be very upsetting for them.
Yes, yes. And I don't want
That's the only way I
to,
protect
first of all,
myself.
I like to live in peace. I don't like to upset anyone.
So they wouldn't touch
And
me.
if it really happened, then we need to acknowledge it and set it right if we can.
Okay, is that, do you accept that definition of residential school denialism, that it's denying that the residential schools were abuse, had abuse that occurred?
Yeah, to a degree. I think that it goes deeper into the psyche,
I don't know what else they did to
and
me.
that
They took me
it's
to a
hard to
doctor.
resolve
They took me to a
the
doctor.
issues
Yeah,
without
they take me to the
community community
so they can do something.
Zach, we gotta
Sexual abuse, and they're saying that to her. What the hell is that abuse?
They took me a doctor.
She was 4
They
years old
They didn't
when that abuse
understand why I
happened to her.
pee the bed every night.
Who did it happen by?
I told
Who caused
them
it?
I was getting sexually abused.
You want to hear from a
Every
from a
night.
Does she want to get on the mats?
I'm a residential school survivor.
She's talking.
Yeah, would you like to get on the mats? Would you like to get on the mats?
Listen, man.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Play the game.
Okay,
I
come play the
agree.
games. Okay.
I strongly agree that
Okay.
there was abuse from the priests, from the teachers. Every person that worked at that school abused me.
Okay.
Every night I used to lay in bed. Who's gonna come and get me?
Okay.
Who's gonna come and get me? I used to hold my bladder so I can pee the bed as soon as I seen a spooky man come to get me.
Okay.
And they wouldn't touch me because I was red.
Okay.
And I was taken to a doctor in residential school, and they're asking me why I pee the bed.
Yep.
I told them the truth.
Because you were just trying to avoid abuse.
Molesters! Nothing but molesters in there.
Okay. So from what I understand.
No! Boom! Don't talk to me no more.
Okay.
I don't think you understand.
All right. So people don't have to play if they don't want to, but like they want to exercise. It's not really a game. It's an exercise. It's an academic freedom exercise.
Our trauma is a game.
About
That's
this
why we're not
situation.
playing.
Yeah, but we're trying to understand the residential schools, and that's why we're doing this. And the claim
Why are
is
you laughing at me
this
when
is
I'm
this
talking?
is Niigaan Sinclair's claim. That's what he was arguing today, was that residential school
I think it has to
denialism
do with the community, though.
is a barrier to reconciliation. So it's not my claim; it's Niigaan Sinclair's claim.
Wow.
So we're just looking at Niigaan Sinclair's claim. And so when you say, for me, when you say that residential school denialism is denying abuse, I totally agree. I would be on the strongly agree.
Yeah.
Because I would say denying the abuse that happened in the residential schools obviously is going to be a barrier to reconciliation, because we know that abuse happened in many, many different cases. But what I find, the reason why I would have been on the strongly disagree, Matt, is because what the definition is that I've heard given by many people and I think this is the definition, is that it's denying that the residential schools were genocidal. That is the definition that you often hear from Sean Carlton and so on. And I do not think the residential schools were genocidal because the definition is the intent to destroy the ethnic group. And although they were terrible in certain ways, like residential schools were abusive, they had bad ventilation, they were neglected, they were run by the churches, so they were often mired in various kinds of forms of religious coercion. People were Christians, so they wanted to convert people. Like, they weren't trying to destroy people, they were trying to save their souls. So it wasn't attempting to get rid of, it was just trying to incorporate them into Canadian society. So that's my water. Thanks a lot. So anyway, but I think it's a definitional for you. For us, it's a definitional disagreement.
Yes.
So that would be the thing. So and so I think that's the issue there.
This is
So
not a laughing matter.
Can I ask you something?
yeah,
Why did you choose this week to do this?
because
You know what week this is, right? You know
Yeah,
what
I do.
time it is?
Yeah.
Is that why you chose?
no, it wasn't.
Why? Why did you?
Because I didn't want to go to Winnipeg when it was really cold and I only had this.
You had
week
all
open.
summer.
No, but I wasn't. I was doing other things over the summer. This was the one period when I had free time over this.
It's poor timing.
No,
very
it's a
bad
great timing because
No, it's
I'm
not.
trying to pursue truth here. So I'm trying to talk
But
about
you're
the
taking
truth.
away from the truth that she's speaking.
Yeah, but
and
she's
you
not
still
that.
strongly disagree.
No, but she can be involved in this discussion, and she can help.
Stand on your mat.
And she can help us understand why she has the view that she does, and
There are
maybe,
places you could do that.
and maybe
This is not the place.
This is a university.
Yeah.
A university is the place where we do this. There's the only place that we should be. Well, not the only place. You should be able to do it in high schools. You should be able to do it in parks. You should be able to do it anywhere. But the reason why I came to the University of Winnipeg is because it's a university, and I'm going to every single university in Canada to do this Spectrum Street epistemology method, because I really do think it is the best method for trying to understand things. Because it's not about you're wrong, I'm right. It's about you believe the things that you do because of this evidence. And because of this evidence, that's why you're on that mat. And I'm trying to think, well, why am I not on this mat with you?
Right.
Why aren't we on the same mat? And the reason why we're not is because my view of the definition is different from yours. And so it's a definitional problem.
So yours is genocide then?
Mine is
the
a-
reason for being over there.
It's because
like-
I'm defining residential school denialism.
As not a genocide, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't think residential
So
schools are
then I'll
genocidal.
probably, on that definition, I'll be
Okay,
over
so
on
let's
that.
do, this is not, we start over, so we go on to we just do a new claim now.
Okay.
So, the residential schools were genocidal. Move.
Strongly disagree.
So that's the claim, the residential schools were genocidal. Who wants to stand on what mat here?
You can participate. I'm already participating with this guy because he's laughing at our residential schools. Survivor stories.
We're not laughing.
We're not laughing at all. I would never laugh at, the Billy Coons one is a bit just over the top. Anyway, so see what happened there with the claim is that you try and get an understanding of why people have a difference in their understanding of things. And often it's a definitional one. So you're talking about different definitions, and if you have a different definition, then you have problems because you're not starting with the same concept, you've got a different concept. So that's kind of an interesting approach. The other one, okay, let's start again. Have another claim, come back to neutral. The residential schools were culturally genocidal. Where would you move?
I slightly
I want parameters, though.
Okay, well, if you don't understand the statement, you stay on neutral. You say, I'm on neutral because I don't really know what cultural genocide means. I have to figure that out. And for me, I I don't accept the concept of cultural genocide. Because I think you should say cultural side, if you're going to use the right term.
Right.
Because you're killing culture, and you do hear,
Yes.
I believe it's the guy who they named, what's his name, with the street here in Winnipeg that they renamed it?
Epistemology.
Yeah, what was the original person? I forget.
Brandon.
Brandon. If you look at some of the statements he made, he made some, like, we got to get rid of the culture of Aboriginal people.
Yeah.
So you could say, okay, culturally genocidal. Yep, I strongly agree because Brandon, he said this, and therefore, this would be difficult. He's trying to kind of get rid of the culture.
Yeah.
So I want to disagree because now modern day Canada is a country of multiculturalism, and we celebrate folklorama. So if that had happened, nobody would be celebrating anything of their culture at all. It would be wiped off like the way the Romans wiped out people when they conquered. But here, people are allowed to celebrate their culture. They're allowed to make Belgian waffles if they want to.
Yeah.
They're allowed to speak their language. Nobody arrests them and puts them to jail like you would if you were a Uyghur in China, okay? And you're allowed to practice your religion, have your powwows, have your, speak your language. We have high schools, elementary schools, where the language is taught. And elders.
So what mat would you be on with this kind of explanation?
So
That the residential schools are culturally genocidal. Where would you be on the mats?
I'm on the slightly disagree because
Okay.
I think some people allowed their culture to be wiped out. They weren't vigilant enough to keep it alive. And you ask anyone from Poland or Ukraine or any other country how hard it is to get the next and next and next generation to keep their culture alive,
Yeah.
because everybody gets swallowed up by the present culture, whatever that is. And it's really tough. The first generation, it's strong.
Okay.
Second generation, it dies off and it dies off. That's not just unique to Aboriginal people, that's everyone. Everyone is fighting to keep their Italian culture alive, their Greek culture. That's why we have folklorama going on.
Okay, so, and this is what you do with street epistemology, is you say back the argument to someone to make sure that you have got it correct. So my understanding is, you're saying that you're slightly disagreeing. You're not really convinced, but you don't really think so because we are not preventing Aboriginal people today from practicing their culture.
Correct.
And in fact, we have lots of programs like Aboriginal languages programs, all the like the Sacred Fire at the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation, et cetera, and if people are not speaking their language, it's maybe just because they don't use the language very much anymore. Like, as you say, people from all different countries, they bring their kids over and their kids are learning English and they don't really see the value of it and they're not that concerned.
That's right.
What about you? Do you think that does that move you a little bit from your neutral position over to the slightly disagree?
Yeah, I think the language part, kind of, because the thing that with language, though, it might be culturally inappropriate. Like if you're working, because I used to work at a health science center, like hospital, we did delivered hot food and stuff like that with a lot of Filipino people, and they would constantly if you were at their table, they would speak Filipino. That would be culturally rude.
Yeah.
Compared to someone who doesn't speak that language. So in that case, I would be that. And also, the thing is, because I'm also a minority, I have a slight disadvantage and stuff like that. And I actually think that it doesn't disqualify me for anything. I could do anything that everyone could do. But I did one time apply here a while back because I wanted to take a creative writing course. Like, so I went through the disability services, and I took what's the word for it? I took a test.
Yeah, and so is this related to cultural, like your cultural rejuvenation? Of your, like, you're trying to recapture some kind of cultural situation?
What do you mean?
Like, I'm just wondering how this is related to the claim about cultural genocide.
Yeah, like it's the language and like their, like the community related to like the like other communities, like language communities, like she said, like about folklorama and stuff like that, and like the celebration of like her culture.
Okay. Anyway, I think we've. How are you feeling, you guys? Is there anything you'd like to say on these mats that you don't think has been said?
Well, my only point is, I went on ChatGPT and I said, okay, what if there was a claim that 215 children were buried in an orchard somewhere?
Yeah.
And the ground penetration equipment just has anomalies, but it doesn't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. And we don't know how many graves there are, if there are any.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT said, all you have to do is sample the soil, because the soil will have the DNA of anyone that's buried there. And it would cost max $1,000 US.
Okay.
And the people in question could select which labs they want the soil to go to. It would not be invasive. ChatGPT said it's non-invasive, it's not disrespectful. They can choose their own labs. They can choose 20 labs if they want.
Okay.
The DNA doesn't lie.
Okay.
Just take a soil sample, send it off.
Okay.
Why haven't they done that?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was just talking to the people, the police for Cooper Island about that, and they hadn't done the soil samples there. So maybe we should just do that claim that is so contentious. So the claim is the remains of 215 children have been found at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. Where do you stand on the mats with respect to that claim?
I have to strong. Where's the science?
Yeah, like we don't have
Where's the
excavations.
science? Yeah.
Yeah. And so what would, to move from that mat, what kind of evidence would you need to move to the, like to the, maybe to the neutral or the slightly disagree?
They need to actually dig.
Yeah.
Because there's no...
Or not even necessarily dig, you're saying you can take soil samples.
Soil samples, get the DNA. It won't lie, it'll even tell you the sex of the child, and then they can send the information to the families who've got tested, because they'll know if it's their family member. The DNA is there.
And, okay, let's say I'm on the strongly agree mat. I'm going to do the steel manning of this strongly agree. What do you think the best argument is for saying that the remains of 215 children are in the Kamloops apple orchard?
I would go here if they actually found conclusive evidence.
No, right now, I really strongly believe that there are 215 children in the apple. Would be my best argument for that?
Your best argument is show me the science. Your best argument.
No, but I don't believe in science. If I'm sorry, what is the thing that would make me believe that?
Then show me the roster of missing children, because there's been no documentation.
Okay, well,
Where are the
Aaron,
parents?
so Aaron Pete, just so you know, I had a really great interview with Aaron Pete. He's a very wonderful, he's from the Hope Band, he's the chief of the Hope Band, and he said that he would be on the kind of slightly agree, or maybe even the agree on this, because of the fact that the knowledge keepers are saying this, and he argues that parents would have been they wouldn't have reported their children missing because they would have been afraid of the Indian agent or the RCMP. They wouldn't be doing anything to help them, and so they just went and went into the liquor store and got drunk, and because they were missing their children, and they felt intimidated in telling people about that. That was his argument. Aaron Pete. Anyway, I was thinking, yesterday we were talking about this. There's a man, an Aboriginal man, really nice guy, and he said the knowledge keepers say that the remains of 215 children are there. And knowledge keepers never lie, because they're put in there by the Creator to tell the truth, and they believe there's the spirits of the children that they have interacted with. What do you think about that claim?
Well, I follow the money, because that's always the culprit. And if he says his creator said that to him, then he answers to his creator. That's 215 is a very specific number. And I'd like to have it broken down to ages of children, what sex they were. I would love for the families to be able to do a proper burial with a name attached. And these parents, even if they didn't report the kids missing, they still have the name of that child, don't they? That child
I
isn't
think
there.
so. We don't really have any names of the children. This is a big issue. As well, in terms of responsive excavation, when I was talking to this man last night, or yesterday, he said that they don't want to disturb the dead. Like, that's a big problem. To try
Soil
to do that.
samples don't disturb the
It's
dead.
true, you can do the soil samples. It's interesting why soil samples haven't been taken. Did you want to get on a map and explain your position?
No, I'm trying to see what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, well, the claim, as I said, was the remains of 215 children are buried in the Kamloops apple orchard. That's the claim. And yesterday, when I was at the University of Manitoba, there was a really nice Aboriginal man that I talked to. He wasn't from Kamloops, but he said the reason why he was on the strongly agree mat was because of the knowledge keepers. The knowledge keepers had said that the remains of 215 children were buried there. And so, knowledge keepers, they're never wrong.
And what are you saying?
I'm saying that I don't think the knowledge keepers are reliable evidence. Just because not because they're lying. People keep on saying that I say the knowledge keepers are lying. I've never said the knowledge keepers are lying. I think there's other problems like misremembering, which memory is a really difficult thing. As well, confirmation bias is a huge thing. And then the idea that the truth is what you believe it to be. I've heard that claim made a number of times. It's called relative truth by through the Reconciliation Commission. So those three things make it so it's a belief that people have, but it hasn't been substantiated with evidence that can be accepted by other people. That's the issue. Not because people are lying.
And everything that we rely on is not true.
No, it can be
Our
true.
history is not true.
It can be true. It just needs evidence besides that. Okay, you don't have to be involved, but I just was curious about that. Anyway, so that's all this is about. It's not about trying
Is that
to
why you were fired?
We're not trying to prove anyone
Is that why you
wrong.
were fired from the university for not telling the truth?
No, I was fired for telling the truth.
What was that truth?
There's only two sexes. That's one of the truths that I was trying to say, and also indigenous science is not science.
We can't take
Those are two truths I was trying to say. They said, no, this is just terrible. You're behind the humanity of trans people. You're really upsetting Gabrielle Hazelhead. He thinks that indigenous science is science.
Isn't it good news? I think it's good that there's hundreds of children.
She feels unsafe hearing you say that indigenous science is not science. That's another story. Anyway, I think we have done with that. I'm feeling a little bit like in a surreal kind of experience. I'm sort of having a bit of an out-of-body experience. I'm Super Nanny, in case people want to know who I am. If you watch Super Nanny,
How would you like that cape to be designed?
Super Nanny says if your toddlers are having a tantrum, you have to follow it through to the end and don't reward bad behavior. Because if you reward bad behavior, you're going to get a lot more of it. And hopefully, although this was a bit bruising, I got some orange liquid which was sticky poured over my head. I sat down on the ground because people had surrounded me and were trying to push me off the property, and I was not going to allow that to happen. And I sat down because I didn't want to fight with people, and it worked. And we waited for, and I just thought they're going to get tired of this and they're going to leave, and they did.
Now, what happened? What we saw here today, is it not almost like kind of the quintessential perfect example, kind of as to the work you're doing? Because this sort of aggression, this sort of violence is really what's being fomented by having politicians, academia, and the media all continuing to foment this without any real conversation happening. Just pushing.
Yeah.
Clearly creates an aggressive divide. When you do have a century's worth or whatever of hurt, and people that clearly do have pain and hurt
We
in
have a lot
their
of pain.
families.
There's a lot of pain today, and I can see the pain. And I wasn't denying what their pain. I thought people have had terrible experiences, and I don't deny that. But my concern is Kamloops, the truth about Kamloops. We cannot let this go. There was this claim which was made, which is a false claim. We allowed that to percolate through the system, and although I think it was Sean Carlton or Niigaan Sinclair, I watched their event today. It was just a horrible event, again with them manipulating everything as they always do. And they said something like about that it's just this kind of nitpicky thing. The Kamloops band has admitted the mistake, and that's not really true. The Kamloops band changed the language from remains to anomalies in 2020. They did it very quietly. They didn't sort of say, oops, we really screwed up there. And then Ted Gottfredson Jr., who is one of the major figures in the band, he and Dee DeRose, who work at Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops, Dee DeRose is the chancellor, so the head symbolic. They were saying that bodies of children had been found in Kamloops in September 2024. So they were continuing to perpetuate this false claim, even though it's been known since July 15, 2021, that it's anomalies on the GPR. And I have now been in touch with many GPR experts. I was on a GPR study that went on where we did a survey, and I talked to the GPR experts, and they say, you don't know anything when you do it. All you know is that there's something under the soil. It could be a boulder, it could be a burrow, it could be bubbles, it could be buried garbage, it could be anything. You have to take, and we were just speaking today, you don't even have to excavate. You can take DNA samples from the soil to see if there's any DNA in the soil.
That's right.
So why aren't we doing that in Kamloops? Just to establish. Because as we know from today, many people believe that there are remains of children buried in the Kamloops. Many people. It's not like no one believes this anymore. That's really today, all the abuse and everything was because of that claim. And I just kept on saying, I'm here to find out the truth at Kamloops. I'm going to take this claim to every single university in Canada. And if you want to stop me, if you want to stop Super Nanny, you're going to have to last me out. I was going to miss my flight tonight. If I wasn't, I would have just stayed overnight to do this. And I didn't want to miss my flight. My poor husband was going, oh, I don't want to miss your flight. And I was going, no, I got to do it. I am not going back without doing this Spectral Street Epistemology at the University of Winnipeg. And we did Spectral Street Epistemology at the University of Winnipeg. We finally just outlasted the toddlers who were having a temper tantrum. Daniel got a bit roughed up. What happened to you? You got a little scraped up?
I was trying to recover a hat.
You're going to recover a hat. My mats got vandalized, but I think it's great because it's kind of like they got their war paint on them. War paint.
I love it.
And then I got my speaker system. It wasn't stolen, which I thought was going to be stolen. It's only worth $40, so it was no big deal. But still, it would have pissed me off if that happened. But it was all fine.
No, for sure.
No big deal.
No, for sure.
Well, I think poor Michael Melhonson got seriously roughed up. Like he was afraid. Well, I don't know. He's a tough guy, really tough guy. Like he was surrounded by a whole bunch of really early people, and he said to me at one point he thought he was going to have to fight his way out of 40 people. And I wasn't afraid because I'm a woman, and I think it's very unlikely that people are going to beat up on a woman. But
The women like it probably.
But I don't. I'm pretty.
Yeah, it was an interesting catch-22 when I tried to point you out of that. Of course,
Even I tried.
Right. Well, no, the women tighten up so that it's going to look like I touch them, and then the men will be all over me.
Same here.
And so it turns into
No,
this.
I just said, I think I did the
House
work.
cards.
I just sat down, and that was it.
Yeah, that
It
was
was
good.
Gandhi. I felt like Gandhi.
Yes.
I felt a bit like Gandhi.
That's what I thought of.
Anyway, I think that's it for us. I'm going to make my flight back. I really appreciate everyone who stuck out and just decided this is it. We will not give in to these temper tantrums.
I think the temper tantrum that we witnessed today is, again, I'll just kind of repeat myself, was a perfect example of what's happening
Yes.
here.
And I should just mention, University of Winnipeg, I don't have this confirmed, but I heard on Reddit the source of Reddit, that, and maybe it was, I don't exactly know, but someone said that people shouldn't engage with me because I was just a kind of a provocative person who was trying to get additional exposure and so on. Now, it's true, I'm trying to get exposure because I'm trying to get people to understand why our universities are seriously failing.
They're failing.
They are failing. And no one's doing anything about it. They're allowing it to happen. So if I've got to go and do YouTube videos to do that, I will. And I've got nothing to apologize for. Nothing.
And in 2025, where our culture, like you had mentioned earlier, where our culture is so far away from where it was 30, 40, 50 years ago, I mean, the love of Indigenous culture, where it is in Canada, and it's in academia and in pop culture, turn on the television, the radio, wherever, absolutely. Where we are now in 2025, with all of that in place, to still see this breakdown like this is really shows you
I think
what's happening,
well,
I think, in buildings like this.
I think as well, it's got to be said that obviously Aboriginal people are suffering terribly in society. We see that. But this is not going to address that suffering. All it is doing is it's enabling bullies, cry bullies. These people are unbelievable cry bullies. It's enabling cry bullies to manipulate things and not addressing the actual issues, which are terrible violence, terrible lack of education, terrible fetal alcohol syndrome problems, whatever, all these things. That's got to be addressed. It's not going to be addressed by pouring sticky drinks over my head and screaming at me that I'm this and that. Go ahead. Scream away, pour some sticky stuff. George Orwell fought in the Spanish Civil War. He had to deal with trench warfare, and he got shot. And so if George Orwell can face that with the bravery that he did, and no complaints, then I get some sticky stuff poured on my head. Who gives a shit? So that's my thoughts. So, Super Nanny, over and out, here at the University of Winnipeg.